Forgive me. I just want to let both of us kind of enjoy listening to that little bit from the part of the music that is the Suicide Mission track. It's interesting that, of course, that's the track that plays on the menu because, of course, of all the bits of music that you can think of from this trilogy, there is one that basically everyone remembers. The music from the Suicide Mission of this game. Forgive me, we may be here a little while because I have quite a bit to talk about in regards to this incredible game. I'm gonna go to the next menu here just in case. I don't know if a trailer is gonna play or not, but oh my goodness. Gosh, where do I even begin? So, in comparison to the first game, alright, let me give you guys a bit of historical context, as well as some personal history between myself and this game in particular. Not necessarily the series, Mass Effect 2 specifically. So, I've mentioned how back then I only had access to a PlayStation 3. I didn't have a 360 and I didn't have a PC. Around the time that we first got a PS3, it was both kind of a joint thing for me and my dad. He wanted to start getting into it, and we had picked up a couple of games on the PS3, tried out. The main reason he picked up a PS3 was because it could play Blu-ray discs, and he thought that would be great as a, without having to spend money on a Blu-ray player, that we could just, get Blu-ray movies and then run it through the PlayStation 3 to watch the movies. Pretty cool idea, right? Well, he and I were kind of like getting a couple games, trying them out here and there, and we were like, wow, this looks pretty great. And sometime after that, this was when I was working at my movie theater job while also taking classes at college, and the theater where I worked at had this shopping center area, and in that shopping center area where there were some, stores and shops and restaurants, there was also a Best Buy. And there was also a GameStop. But I would kind of go back and forth between the two, seeing what selections and options they had. And I remember one time I was walking through the used or pre-owned game section at Best Buy for like PS3 games. And I noticed this one game in particular called Mass Effect 2. And I don't think I had even heard of the Mass Effect series at this point. And I picked it up, I looked at it, and up top it said, like, Overlord and Shadow Broker DLC included or something like that. So just kind of give you some time whenever you are curious about when the PS3 version of Mass Effect 2 came out, just for the timing. And I decided I was like, this seems interesting. And so I picked it up at a discounted pre-owned price. And as they say, the rest is history. I fell in love with the series through this game, and I have been a huge fan ever since. So that's my own personal history with this game, because boy did I love playing through this game. I don't think I had really experienced a game like this before. And it was just kind of one of those games that, because you had not really experienced it before, by the time I was done with it, I was going, I never realized how much I wanted a game like this until now. Like, some of you may understand what I'm talking about. When you're done playing a game for the first time like this, and you just go, wow, I never realized how much I wanted to have a game like this. Where has this game been all my life? Thoughts like that. Now, to give you guys a bit of extra historical context for this game in terms of how beloved and revered it is, this is not just within the community that we kind of put ourselves in terms of those of us who love to play video games. Because let's be honest, there is those of us who consider ourselves gamers, who love video games, playing video games, such. And then there are the other people in real life who don't really care about video games, don't really want anything to do with them, look at them as just, they're just some silly childish thing, like, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, that they look upon video games as some kind of a silly joke or thing for little kids or blah, 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 blah. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? I'm sure you do at this point. So, let's just say I was quite surprised and impressed when I heard that there was going to be an exhibit at the Smithsonian Museum in D.C., and it was going to be considered, I think it was called The Art of Video Games. An exhibit the point was to showcase the artistic side of what video games can bring. Showing to all those other people that video games brought their own excellent form of art. That there was beautiful art to be found in something as childish and meant for kids as video games. That there was more to it than that. I bring this up because they wanted to really have like the highest quality selections available for this exhibit to showcase this. Now think about how many video games total have been made, like over the years, decades. Total video games across all platforms and systems. There's probably, thousands, if not millions of video games that have been made at this point? Only 100 games were selected to be in that exhibit. This game was one of them. Think about that for a moment. This was included amongst 100 games to showcase the art that video games can bring. That says something from a historical perspective about this game. At least I think so. I just wanted to share that because some people to this day still don't know that. So, from what I understand, at the time that this was going to come out, this was hyped to be one of the best and highly anticipated sequels ever. Mass Effect 1 was pretty successful. So, a follow-up, a sequel, was very highly anticipated by the players. And from what I understand, it exceeded expectations. A lot of the things and issues that from the first game were pretty much resolved in this one. They made some notable changes. For example, your weapons didn't overheat anymore. You actually had ammo. So it started to transition more to a action kind of game instead of a straight up RPG, which some people did not like. I will say that those who complained that they preferred the managing of the armor and weapons and mods and such from the first game that were kind of taken away in the second game, I understand that gripe, and I can definitely understand that. But I'm okay with it, because I find the gameplay for this game to be much more enjoyable than the first game. And in my opinion, they got even better at it in the third game, but we'll get there. I see this startup screen, I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I'm about to play this game I loved again. There's just that feeling before you hit new game that you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm about to play through this wonderful game again. I cannot wait. This is what I was eagerly waiting for. Playing through the first game. I was like, I cannot wait to get Mass Effect 2. I cannot wait to get to Mass Effect 2. Especially for some other reasons. They have, as you guys can probably understand, there have been some changes, of course, to this Legendary Edition. One of the changes I've heard that they did for this game was they've added some of the options that you could wear, like in the third game, into this game. So some changes that they added in Mass Effect 3 when it first came out, they've actually gone ahead and added in here. And there's, of course, a number of things baseline vanilla Mass Effect 2 that I absolutely love, and I'll talk about as we go through it. I should also let you guys know, I did do a little work on setting this up and trying to actually implement mods. So I didn't notice any mods for the first game that I probably wouldn't have done, except for one, and that is increase the amount of XP that you get as Mass Effect 1, which, as you guys know, is kind of an issue. So I've got that set up for when I do my repeat runs on my own. But I found a few interesting mods for this one. Not just the one where you put one probe on a planet and scans everything, collects everything, which is a great mod. There are a few other mods I found for this and Mass Effect 3 that caught my attention when I went, now that's interesting. Now, a couple of them are bug fixes. Also, I did get the save editor and check that out and try that out. What's interesting is when I looked at it, it seemed fine. Now, maybe that's something I actually need to do in this game, since apparently that was, I don't know, I guess a bug that carried over into this one. I'll take a look after I set up a save for this game. But when I looked at the save for Mass Effect 1, it seemed fine. But I guess there was some bug in this game that kind of caused some issues importing the save from the first game into this game. I'll do some investigating after that personally to see how that looks. But it seemed okay. But, there were some little different kind of tweaks and such that I could do as well. I'm thinking if there's any... Oh, there is also one other notable mod I want to mention that is probably going to change some things about this run, now that I'm thinking about it. There is a mod I found, I think it was called Trigger Button. You know how there are some events in this game that you kind of either can't really avoid or can't be skipped, or you can't... They just happen on their own after a certain amount of time. And you're like, oh man, I didn't want to do this now. I wanted to do this. But you're kind of forced to do that. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? The Horizon mission, the collector ship, your crew getting abducted, that stuff. Well, apparently there is also the message about the Arrival DLC. So you know how I've always hated that once you do Horizon, you get the message about Arrival right afterwards? And I wish you could wait until after you beat the main story to actually trigger that to happen so it makes more sense within the story. Well, this mod actually helps deal with that. The way I believe I saw it works is that there's going to be a little button that I can press to actually trigger one of those kind of missions. So I could put off some of those missions as long as I wanted to, whether it be Horizon, the collector ship, my crew getting abducted, and having to go through the relay. I can be able to actually set it up where I can put those off as long as I want, and just do them whenever I choose. Now, I actually think that's kind of cool. Especially, as I said, I like the idea of putting off the Arrival thing until later, so it makes more sense. But just think about how that kind of works when you think about it. I just think that's really cool. Options. I like options. I like it where it's like, oh, I can do this when I choose to do it. So there are those couple of mods in there. There's also a mod I found. I didn't know this actually was an issue, but apparently there was a mod to fix a bug involving the result that I choose involving Jacob's dad. Puh. But apparently there's a bug that actually kind of messes with the game properly acknowledging your choice there at the end. So I went ahead and put that in there. By the way, in case you're wondering, yes, I did set up backing up these games in a whole separate, folder and directory and such, so that way I would have proper backups ready to go just in case something went wrong with these versions, because the warning is that, when it comes to these games, is that, well, if you don't have them backed up, then you would have to do some re-repairing or reinstalling and such in order to get to work right and such. It could be a number of issues. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, because this is really the first time I'm going to be playing through this with mods. And these are basically mods that just make the experience easier. There's another mod I found from Mass Effect 3, which makes it you can skip the little scanning gate thing. Yeah, but we'll get there. So after about 50 minutes of me just talking... Like I said, I had a lot to say about this game. We may even talk longer when we get to Mass Effect 3, because I have to talk about the historical context about 3 before we even start that up. So just so you guys know that I have a lot to say about this series. Can you tell? I mean, yeah. I have lots of personal memories of this stuff. And I want to share it for those who may not know that, or may not have been paying attention back then, or didn't get to experience it back then when it happened, like I did. But, yeah. So, I hope I'm not boring you guys with this. I just want to share these things with you. Things that I think are either kind of relevant or important to think about or know about when it comes to these games. So, what do you say we finally actually get this started, shall we? So, of course, import character. And it's interesting that it shows her at level 55, which I guess is the equivalent of her being level 28, since that's what she was. But, yeah, sure. It's interesting, though, that it doesn't give me, like, the option of, like, actually selecting multiple files. It's just this one file here. But whatever, as long as it works. And yeah. Sorry, Caden. By the way, this intro has been changed a bit for this edition.
Shepard did everything right. More than we could have hoped for.
Commander Shepard uncovered the truth.
And still, it's not enough.
We're at war. No one wants to admit it, but humanity is under attack.
But they're sending her to fight Geth. Geth! We both know they're not the real threat. The Reapers are still out there.
And it's up to us to stop them.
The Council will never trust Cerberus. They'll never accept our help, even after everything humanity has accomplished. But Shepard, they'll follow her. She's a hero, a bloody icon. But she's just one woman. If we lose Shepard, humanity might well follow.
Then see to it that we don't lose her.
I'm not gonna read that out loud. You guys have eyes. You can read it. Plus, it disappears pretty quickly. So.
Disengaging FTL drives. Emission sinks active. Board is green. We are running silent.
We're wasting our time. 4 days searching up and down this sector, and we haven't found any sign of Geth activity.
3 ships went missing here in the past month. Something happened to them.
My money's on slavers. The Terminus system is crawling with them.
Picking up something on the long-range scanner. Unidentified vessel. Looks like a cruiser.
Doesn't match any known signatures.
Cruiser is changing course. Now on intercept trajectory.
Can't be. Stealth systems are engaged. There's no way a Geth ship could possibly...
It's not the Geth. Brace for evasive maneuvers!
Presley!
Kinetic barriers down. Multiple hull breaches. Weapons offline. Somebody get that fire out.
Hey, Ash.
Distress beacon is ready for launch. Will the Alliance get here in time? The Alliance won't abandon us. We just need to hold on. Get everyone onto the escape shuttles.
Joker's still in the cockpit. He won't abandon ship. I'm not leaving either.
I need you to get the crew onto the evac shuttles. I'll take care of Joker.
Commander.
Ashley, go! Now.
Aye, aye. Everybody in! Go! Go! Go!
Now, real quick, I want to mention something. This is something I've actually brought up and actually heard someone else bring up and, discussed. I want you to think about this. Take a moment to consider this. Let's think about how the first game ended. You know how Shepard walks off. We have the speech from Anderson. Now imagine this. After that little scene at the end of Mass Effect 1, we then get the text 1 month later. And then we see this scene. And the first game ends with the intro of this game, where we see Shepard going, falling into the atmosphere of the planet, and like Mass Effect pops up on the screen, and the credits roll. Just imagine if the intro for this game was actually the finale, the ending of the first game, and then we had to wait and wait and wait for however long it was between Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 to come out. I think it was 3 years? Somewhere between 2 or 3 years, somewhere around there. And we didn't know what to expect or what was going to happen. Just imagine people's reaction if the intro for this game was the ending of the first game, with Shepard dying. And we're just like, what's going to happen? And we're just like flipping out. Just really think about that for a moment. Like, how would you have reacted, or would you actually have wanted them to do that? And then the second game actually starts with, the whole them bringing Shepard back with the Lazarus Project. I think that would have been amazing. It would have been incredibly bold. I'm not sure if they had the tech to pull it off at the time back then, but just imagine story-wise if that had been the case. The first part of the story ends with this, instead of this being the intro to the second game. I'm just saying that would have been kind of epic and absolutely incredible. I just wanted to share that little thought. Oh, I can't save.
Mayday! 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 This is SSV Normandy! We've suffered heavy damage from an unknown enemy! Come on, baby, hold together. Hold together.
I'm sorry, I've just always loved this part of the intro here. You just walk out and you just hear nothing except Shepard breathing. The silence of space. And you see the wreckage of your ship. The galaxy map. Debris and chairs floating. A giant hole in our ship. So good. Forgive me, I'm probably gonna gush throughout this this run here. I love this game. What do you want from me?
Come on, Joker. We have to get out of here.
No, I won't abandon the Normandy. I can still save her.
The Normandy's lost. Going down with the ship won't change that.
Yeah, okay. Help me up. They're coming around for another attack. Watch the arm!
I love that intro so much. In my opinion, that is one of the best intros in video game history. Just holy mackerel. All of that. The Normandy being destroyed, Shepard dying, title card. Wow. Just, you want to talk about an intro that just sets the tone. And just lets you know that this is going to be a wild ride. Oh my gosh. And again, imagine if that was the ending of the first game. If they had actually gone that route and actually had everyone be left with this cliffhanger of Shepard dying and the Normandy destroyed at the end of the first game, and us just be like, it would have been like, forget me, it would have been like one of those cliffhangers that you've probably seen from shows like Game of Thrones. There are some cliffhangers at the end of a season where I was just like, yeah, you know, that kind of reaction. I'm just saying. So, I love this comic. I have also seen this comic a lot. Because the reason this comic was made, especially for the PS3 version, was because we didn't have a first game to play through and import a save into. So the way that intro was crafted partly was to help establish whether or not you had imported a save file or not. You notice that Ashley showed up right. Well, if Ashley had died on Vermeer and Caden had lived, it would have been Caden. Now, if you had, say, romanced Liara, then Liara would have shown up. Now, for the PS3 users, it was always Liara. The reason for that was because the game didn't know who you had chosen to survive the mission. The way that was determined was with this comic right here. Certain things were kind of left out of the status stuff for PS3 users because we hadn't set up what choices we had done yet. So this comic allowed us to actually make choices to affect the save that we were importing into this game. So let's just say I saw this comic quite a bit, setting up my characters before I had the first game to play. But I still love the way this comic is set up and designed because it's narrated by either Jennifer Hale or Mark Meer, just recapping the story of the first game, which is great for those who either forgot some of the stuff that happened or needed a filler or just want to listen to the actors just recap the events. Because, well, who doesn't enjoy listening to great voice actors just retelling you a story? Like, so even though I don't need to do this anymore, I want to. One, for those who perhaps want to have a little bit of a recap of what we just did in the first game, but also just to enjoy listening to, in this case, Jennifer Hale, tell us the story of the first game. So, sit back and enjoy.
Just another routine mission. Why do they always say that before a mission? Of course it's routine. You haven't done anything yet. It's everything that happens along the way. The choices you make. The paths you choose. That turn the routine into anything but. Of course, that's how it started. A routine mission. Answering a distress call. And look where that got me. We were testing out the Normandy, Captain Anderson's new ship, when the distress call came in. An Alliance patrol on Eden Prime had been attacked. They'd seen something they couldn't explain. And whatever it was massive. I hit the ground with my lieutenant, Caden Alenko. A good kid, loyal, by the book, with a talent for biotics. We came across the lone survivor of the patrol, Gunnery Chief Ashley Williams. A soldier to the core. Tough, disciplined, ready to take on whatever came her way. Ashley joined up with us and took us to the spot where she lost her squad. That's when we saw it. The ship. Like nothing I'd ever seen. It was massive, scorching the colony and everything around it as it blasted away. We followed the path of destruction to an artifact, a beacon left by a long-dead race called the Protheans. The colony had dug it up, and whoever attacked them had tried to take it. Lieutenant Alenko made the mistake of getting too close. It hit him with some type of energy. I grabbed him and threw him out of the way. That's when it hit me. Hard. Every muscle in my body went rigid. I couldn't move, could barely breathe. Everything went black. And then I saw something. A vision. Dream. A nightmare. By the time I woke up, we were halfway to the Citadel on our way to meet the Council. I was expected to explain what I'd seen. Anderson came along. So did Udina, our political representative on the Citadel. With those two heavyweights, it seemed reasonable we could persuade the Council that the ship we'd seen was a potential threat. As was the individual behind the attacks. The main suspect for the Eden Prime massacre was a Turian Spectre named Saren. He'd been seen by one of the survivors from the colony at Eden Prime, and there was some evidence to suggest that the ship was connected to Saren. But even Udina's pointed accusations weren't enough to convince the Council. They just couldn't believe one of their chosen elite Spectres could be guilty of something like that. They needed proof, which meant I needed proof. Fortunately, I wasn't alone in my search. Garrus, another Turian, wanted to help. A top agent for Citadel security. Despite orders from his superiors that he shouldn't get involved, he told me he was suspicious of Saren and he had some useful leads. More importantly, he was willing to share them. That led me to Rex, the biggest, nastiest looking Krogan bounty hunter I'd ever seen. He turned out to be more than just a brute. It was his intel that led us to a fugitive with incriminating evidence on Saren. The fugitive turned out to be an energetic little Quarian named Tally. A tech expert with a knack for hacking, she'd procured some information on Saren. Evidence that proved Saren was dirty. Tally's evidence proved that Saren was responsible for the massacre on Eden Prime, and the immense warship we'd spotted was in fact Saren's flagship. But it went much further. Saren was trying to find a way to bring back a race of sentient machines from dark space. Machines allegedly responsible for cleansing the galaxy of all organic life. These Reapers were blamed for wiping out all life 50,000 years ago, including the Protheans, then disappearing back through the mass relays to dark space, leaving no trace that they'd ever been. That explained why Saren was after the beacon, and it made some sense out of my visions, but not much else. We couldn't convince the Council that the Reapers were a threat, but they agreed Saren had to be stopped. They stripped him of his Spectre status and gave me the honor of becoming the first human Spectre. My first task? Bring down Saren. Anderson decided to stay behind, giving up his ship, the Normandy. He told me I'd need it more than he would. He also pointed me in a direction. Liara. A Prothean expert, adept in biotics, and maybe most importantly, daughter of Benezia, Saren's top lieutenant. And like most Asari, as beautiful as she is intelligent, and born with a unique ability to meld with other species, Liara was able to help me decipher some of the vision the beacon had given me. Nothing concrete, but it gave me some clues. And a new appreciation for the Asari. Her technique for accessing my vision was unexpected, but not at all unpleasant. Kaidan was a little concerned about the connection I shared with Liara. As commander, I knew either relationship had the potential to interfere with the mission. I decided discretion was the better part of valor, and kept my focus on our goal, finding Saren. Thanks to Liara's help, we had our next lead, Benezia. Saren had taken her to Noveria, where he'd enslaved the queen of a dangerous race of insect-like creatures, the Rachni. He ordered Benezia to use the same technique Liara had used on me to extract information from the Rachni queen. The queen's drones were everywhere, and they were not happy. We had to fight through hundreds of them to get to Benezia. By the time we arrived, Saren was gone, with the information. I tried to reason with Benezia, but Saren had indoctrinated her. He had somehow acquired the ability to control people's actions and wills. Benezia wouldn't surrender, and Liara was forced to watch her mother die in her arms. And I was left with an angry, dangerous Rachni queen to deal with. She claimed her drones would do no harm if I released her. The Rachni had terrorized the galaxy before. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't doom an entire species for past sins. And the Queen was true to her word. She left and took her army of drones with her. With Saren's top lieutenant dead, he was quickly running out of time and places to hide. I tracked him down at his base on Vermeer, but we soon learned it was more than a base of operations. It was a breeding ground. Saren was breeding an army of Krogan. He'd found a cure for the genophage, a disease inflicted on the Krogan to prevent them from breeding and taking over the galaxy. But the Krogan Saren was breeding were slaves, mindless beasts that obeyed Saren's will. I had to destroy the base and all its research. Rex disagreed, violently. Rex wanted the genophage cure for his people. I tried to convince him to help me destroy it, that these Krogan weren't real, but he wouldn't back down. Fortunately, Rex is smarter than he looks. He realized this wasn't the way to help his people, and that Saren was the real threat. When we finally got to the center of the base, I realized just how close Saren was to completing his plan. He was already in communication with the Reapers. Sovereign, Saren's flagship we'd all assumed was just a ship, was a Reaper. It spoke to me, threatened me. I could feel the menace it had for every living thing. It wanted me dead. It wanted us all dead. And I knew it was capable of doing just that. What I couldn't understand was why Saren would help it. But there was no time to think about it. Sovereign knew where we were. We had to destroy the base and get the hell out. I split my team into 2 squads, sending Ash with one and Kaidan with the other as a distraction. We had a nuke and we planned to use it. Before we could detonate the bomb, Saren showed up. We fought. I stalled him to make time for my team. And in talking to him, I realized the truth. It wasn't Saren who was indoctrinating everyone. It was Sovereign, the Reaper. And Saren was in deeper than all of them. He tried to convince me he was still in control. Said he'd found a way to reduce the Reaper's influence, but he was kidding himself. Or believing the lies Sovereign was telling him. Before I could convince him to stop, he ran, leaving me just seconds to extract my squad mates. I tried, but I wasn't fast enough. I could only save one of them. Kaidan was a good man and a great soldier. But I had to choose. And I chose Ash. That was the last time Saren would slip away from me. I knew then, the next time we met, one of us would die. With my team mostly intact, we chased Saren and his army to Ilos. a long-lost planet that had once belonged to the Protheans. As we prepared for what we knew would be a desperate fight, I spoke to my crew. We were just one ship, against Saren's growing army. I assured them all that despite the odds, we could defeat him. I'd never tell anyone, but I had my doubts. Leaving Caden behind had hardened my resolve, but revealed a weakness in my defenses. How many more friends and allies would I be willing to sacrifice in order to stop Saren? We arrived on Ilos close behind Saren. Once on the planet, we discovered a Prothean databank that helped me put the final pieces of my vision together. The Reapers had come 50,000 years ago, and every 50,000 years before that, each time purging the galaxy of life. The Protheans had fought and died like every species before them, but a few survived long enough to leave a parting gift. The Protheans had discovered that the Citadel was the key to controlling the mass relays. By sabotaging the Citadel, they found a way to close the relays to dark space, slowing the Reapers' return, giving us the time we needed to find a solution to stop the Reapers once and for all. Saren knew this. He was leading his army to take control of the Citadel and re-establish the relays to dark space, bringing the waiting Reapers here to destroy us all. We followed him to the Citadel. It was intact, but heavily damaged. He'd caught the Council fleets by surprise, and they were only now regrouping. And with Sovereign as his flagship, there was little hope that the fleets could counterattack with enough strength to take back the Citadel. But Saren was done running, and I was done chasing him. As the Alliance and Council fleets battled Saren's army outside the Citadel, I cornered the Turian bastard in the Citadel tower and confronted him. He died believing that the Reapers would save him. As I fought to regain control of the Citadel, the Council's flagship, the Destiny Ascension, fell under attack. Despite Saren's death, Sovereign and Saren's army continued to fight. The Council was aboard the Destiny Ascension and they were requesting assistance. But I knew in order to help them, I would have to put our human Alliance fleet in jeopardy. The Council had to be saved. They represented the hearts and minds of the galactic community. Without them, the fleets would be in disarray. Even with the Citadel back in my control, Saren defeated and the Normandy leading the combined galactic fleet, the battle against Sovereign, a single Reaper, was relentless. It took the combined fleets of humanity and the other races, but in the end, Sovereign fell. But the costs were immense. While humanity's efforts in the war earned us our first seat on the Council, it was a hollow victory. The Reapers were still out there. I knew the fight was far from over, but as the one who'd led the fight against Saren, I was given new responsibilities. The choice of humanity's first counselor was left to me to decide. On the one hand, Udina, the lifetime politician, ruthless and ambitious, he would easily navigate the political landmines that would soon be placed before him. The other choice, Captain Anderson, the career soldier, tough but fair, but a friend, and someone I could trust. Both great leaders in their own right. Anderson didn't want the job, which was a sure sign he'd be perfect for it. No ambition to get in the way. The war was over. The threat had passed. In time, the Council would rebuild itself. The Citadel could be repaired. Even the pain of lost friends would fade. But none of that mattered if the Reapers were still out there. And if they were all as powerful as Sovereign, we had to find a way to stop them. I had to find a way. I gathered my crew, took my ship, and went in search of answers. Officially, the Council would only say I was assigned cleanup duty, routing out any remnants of Saren's army. Just another routine mission.
Commander Shepard has been recovered. The Lazarus Project will proceed as planned.
And so Shepard is reborn. We, of course, are staying as a Vanguard. So this is where it starts to get a little bit more fun. We get biotic charge, pull, shockwave. Just to reiterate, Vanguards are outfitted with L5N implants, enabling them to perform a biotic charge that strikes the opponent with incredible force while bringing the Vanguard in close for short-range combat. Vanguards are feared for their high-risk, high-reward combat style, closing quickly on enemies and destroying them at close range with weapons and biotic abilities. Yeah, this is where it gets really fun. As opposed to me having to just run up to them and keep using the shotgun, now I can just straight up charge at them. Oh, and it gets even more fun when we get to Mass Effect 3.
She's reacting to outside stimuli, showing an awareness of her surroundings. Oh my God, Miranda. I think she's waking up.
Damn it, Wilson. She's not ready yet. Give her the sedative. Shepard, don't try to move. Just lie still. Try to stay calm.
Heart rate's still climbing. Brain activity is off the charts. Stats pushing into the red zone. It's not working.
Another dose. Now.
Heart rate dropping. Stats falling back into normal range. Too close. We almost lost her.
I told you your estimates were off. Run the numbers again.
They weren't off, they were purposely off.
Wake up, Commander. Shepard, do you hear me? Get out of that bed now. This facility is under attack. Shepard, your scars aren't healed, but I need you to get moving. This facility is under attack.
Gosh, I thought that looked like dirt smudges on her face. Which I would be happy if those are in fact like dirt smudges on her face there. Just like extra detail on her face. Oh, I would love that. Okay, so although I'm curious here. So apparently those are there. That's funny. Okay. Huh. Yeah, I don't really plan on using cryo ammo. I like incendiary ammo quite a bit, actually. There we go. Now we've got shockwave. Go ahead and get our Paragon and Renegade up as well. There we go. So you'll notice right off the bat, remember we ended the game, now we didn't get the rich achievement, at least my save file didn't indicate we did, even though we ended the game with like max credits. But we have, yeah, that many credits and that many of the resources. Complete the tutorials. You see all the bonuses we get now? Oh, it didn't show the other ones. Never mind.
Don't have time to wait around, Shepard. Grab your weapon and armor.
This pistol doesn't have a thermal clip.
It's a med bay. We'll get you a clip from.
Gosh, I love how nice this is responding.
Get behind cover now. Keep your head down, Shepard. Shield yourself from the blast. Someone's hacking security trying to kill you. Look for a thermal clip for your pistol. Looks like they set up a barricade to try holding the mech cell. Look out!
Actually, hold on. Okay, so right now I have it as 1 and 2 and 4. Okay. Here's what biotic charge looks like. BAM!
Keep moving. We need to get to the shuttles.
And here's what Shockwave looks like. Now, we of course see Jack use that a lot, but I'm telling you guys, the way it looks in 3 is so cool. So, I think we should go ahead and just cut it off here. When we return, we will be trying to escape this mysterious facility. I wonder what this place is. Stay tuned.